Kia ora team. So this fight here is going to happen sometime later in the year. The rematch between Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder. Now the fight isn't officially confirmed as yet. We still don't know a date or a venue. But Deontay Wilder came out on Twitter. And as you can see here, he says Luis Ortiz is next. And all his controversial fights need to be dealt with ASAP. Now I can understand wanting to settle controversy, that's fine. And I can understand it being an easy fight to make for Al Heyman, both being PBC fighters. It is what it is. Now the controversy that Deontay Wilder is possibly talking about, it seems he's listened to a lot of what fans have said about that fight. Many thought that the referee should have stopped the fight in the 7th round. Even though Deontay Wilder hadn't gone down, he was staggering all over the place, taking a lot of big shots, trying to hang on to Luis Ortiz, but he never went down. Luis Ortiz was not able to finish the job in the 7th round. I don't think the fight should have been stopped at that stage, personally, but that's just my own opinion. You got to give a champion a chance. Now, the other part of the controversy is at the beginning of the 8th round, when the fighters came out for the 8th round. The referee called timeout, and under instructions from the New York State Athletic Commission, the doctor had to check Deontay Wilder out to see if he was fit to continue. It's part of the New York State Athletic Commission's rules, so it is what it is. And the fight continued, and as we know, later on in the fight, Luis Ortiz got stopped. Now, to me, that part in particular was somewhat controversial. Why, you ask? Like I said, under the New York State Athletic Commission rules, if a fighter has taken a lot of shots, he needs to be checked out, and not in the time between rounds. That's why the timeout was called and Deontay Wilder was checked. However, I found it strange that the doctors and the New York State Athletic Commission felt compelled to check Deontay Wilder at the beginning of the 8th round. But Luis Ortiz had been down several times prior to that and later on in the fight, but not once was the fight timed out to check Luis Ortiz. So it's hard not to speculate that there's some kind of favoritism toward the champion when you have one criteria for one fighter and another criteria for another fighter in the same fight, in the same ring, and they're both taking big shots. One gets checked and one doesn't. Weird ass shit. So hopefully the officials in the rematch, if shit does come to shove, they're going to use the same criteria for both fighters this time. Now also, Deontay Wilder has put out another tweet, and he's also announced that Tyson Fury is going to be after Luis Ortiz. Kind of looks like looking past an opponent to me. But as you can see here, Deontay Wilder has said he's not looking past Luis Ortiz, he's looking through Luis Ortiz window shopping. Man, that's just the same shit put into different words. But anyways, it's not something we've found to not expect from Deontay Wilder. Most of what he says contradicts other things he's said in the past, so it is what it is. I love watching Deontay Wilder fights. I don't pay too much attention to what he says outside of the ring, because it changes day by day. But anyway, the fight itself between Ortiz and Wilder, second time round, I think it's going to be a quicker fight, to be honest. No disrespect to Luis Ortiz, but he's 40 years old. He's slowing down. Yes, he's very smart, but reaction time gets slower when you get older. Your speed slows down as you get older. And let's face it, Luis Ortiz has never been the quickest fighter out there anyway. But, I mean, power is last to go. If he can land on Deontay Wilder's chin, there could be trouble once again. However, I think it's a lot less likely this time around. Deontay Wilder knows what he's coming up against. He's been in there with him before. He's got the confidence. He knows he can beat him. I think it's going to go less than 6 rounds this time around. And unfortunately for us fans, it's not the fight we wanted to see. I mean, the fight that we wanted to see is now gone out the window anyway, thanks to the Candyman, Andy Ruiz Jr., Mr. Snickers himself. So, yeah, I think the fight's going to go less than 6. I think Luis Ortiz is going to get stopped. And I don't know how much more we're going to see from Luis Ortiz if he does get stopped second time round. I mean, many called Luis Ortiz the boogeyman for a long time. Nobody really wanted to fight him, but I don't think it's a case of everybody's scared of Luis Ortiz. I think the fact of the matter is Luis Ortiz doesn't speak English. He's hard to market because he doesn't speak English. He doesn't have the strongest of resumes, possibly due to him not being a big money fighter, not being that marketable. I mean, his best win, who would it be? Would it be Bryant Jennings, I guess, would be his best win. And as we've seen in recent past, Bryant Jennings got stopped by Oscar Rivas, a relative unknown to a lot of heavyweight fans, a relative novice at the elite level. So how much stock can you put in a win over Luis Ortiz? Not a great deal, I don't think. And this is one of the reasons why I've got Luis Ortiz in my ratings, my personal ratings, at about number 7 or number 8. Somewhere there in the heavyweight division. If he takes another loss to Deontay Wilder, I think he'd probably drop outside the top 10 and possibly, somewhere around the 13 or 14 mark for me. But that's just my personal opinion, obviously. There's still a possibility down the track he could get an Anthony Joshua fight, depending on what happens with Anthony Joshua. Of course, he's got a rematch coming up later on in the year, but we will see. Yeah, it's a fight that I will definitely watch, Wilder versus Ortiz, but it's not a fight I'm excited about. It's not a fight I really wanted to see. Yeah, it's hard to get too excited about it, particularly when I think the fight isn't even going to go half the distance. But I'm interested to hear what everybody else thinks about the fight, how you think it's going to go, what do you think Luis Ortiz's chances are of winning the fight. And that's something I never touched on, actually. I think Luis Ortiz definitely does have a chance of winning the fight, but I'm putting it at about 20%. Deontay Wilder's just too big for him, too smart, hits too hard, and he's got almost 10 years on Luis Ortiz. So that's my thoughts. Looking forward to hearing yours. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up if you have. Subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one. Big Boys Boxing, we out. See you.